Hobie was tired. The 15-hour-long flight was causing the jet lag, and he was sleeping so deeply that he didn't realize how many times and for how long Wen was in the washroom. Hobie opened his eyes. He was adjusted with the fact that he's not gonna be able to feel Wen in his embrace when he would open his eyes. But soon he realized that he was in a hotel room in Hamburg, provided by UMCH, and Wen should be beside, sleeping on the same bed. Twisting his body, he turned. Wen was laying on the bed. Hobie looked at her. Wen was sleeping. She was looking so exhausted, like she was the only knight left in a war. Her lips were so pale, and her face too. He assumed that Wen might have to throw up in the middle of the night. Now she was sleeping peacefully. It was Saturday weekend, so Wen could sleep as long as she wanted. It was a very pleasant morning, or it might be a normal, bright morning, but sleeping with his wife on the same bed, her presence had made him happy. During his morning routine, suddenly a thought startled him. What if it's not normal morning sickness? What if it's hyperemesis gravidarum? His vision was blurred for a moment. Hobie knew his wife would create huge scene if he asks her to go to hospital for checkup. At the same time, he wanted to consult with Dr. Park, the endocrinologist, about his wife's condition, and without reports, it was just baseless to make assumptions. Hobie was lost in his thoughts, standing on the balcony attached to the hotel room. Suddenly, he heard some random sounds, and as he turned his face, he saw Van struggling to throw up. His heart ached. He wanted the child, yet he didn't want her to suffer this much. Hobie rushed to the washroom and tried to help her. After a few minutes, Wen was breathing heavily. She had no energy left inside her to even press the button to flush. Hobie was regretting, as he had blamed her every single moment when he was in Seoul for leaving him lonely, as he saw her struggling so much he couldn't suppress his tears. Hobie cleared his throat. Wen, are you alright now? Please get up. He knew she was exhausted, but as she was supported by Hobie, she was able to get up and stand on her feet. Hobie backhugged her and gently washed her face with water. How are you feeling? He asked. When dizzy, please take me to the bed. Hobie could assume that one needed to be hospitalized as soon as possible, but he was sure about the fact that she's gonna refuse. Hobie, I was thinking we should do the HCG test when in husky voice. Oh, good idea. I forgot to pee actually. Hobie could sense ray of hope in her words. I have put a container in the washroom. I'll be thankful if you kindly give your urine sample. Hobie looked at her with suspicious look. His fingers were crossed. She must not suspect him. When, please take me to the washroom after a few minutes. Hobie smiled and sighed in relief. Wen had fallen asleep and she hadn't peed for a long time. Hobie was hesitating a little bit, but then woke her up. He knew the situation can't be like this forever, so he gently patted on her shoulder. Subconsciously, Wen sobbed. Hobie didn't have any idea about her nightmare, but it could be harmful for her. He gently patted on her shoulder for multiple times. Wen opened her eyes. Hobie didn't wait for anything and took her into his arms and carried her into the washroom. Hobie made her seated on the commode. We might need to do multiple HCG tests for surety, so don't skimp on the quantity of urine sample. When? Nay. Hobie didn't think that it would be that easy, but at the same time his core was getting more tensed as he thought about Van's condition. Right after he stepped out from the washroom, Hobie took his phone and searched Dr. Park Van's number from the UMCH forum page. Without wasting a single second, he messaged Dr. Park Van about Van's condition. Dr. Park Van was that particular someone Hobie could rely on at this worst situation. Dr. Park Van advised him to take her into the hospital and she assured him to visit. Hobby was about to sip his morning coffee when he heard Wen struggling into the washroom. He rushed there and saw her to struggle to stand up. He glanced at the counter where she had carefully put her urine sample. It was dark in color, it was concentrated than usual. The breakfast was delivered. Hobby carried her into the bedroom and made her seated on the couch. Have some food. Your stomach's supposed to be full and you must not skip your meals, Hobby stated when. I don't think it would stay in my stomach until digested. But I'm hungry. Van was happily enjoying her breakfast. She knew she might feel the urge to throw up before she could consume her desirable amount of food, but she was happy. She was happy because she was having her meal with her husband. This might be a silly reason, but enough for being happy. On the other side, Hubby was still planning nervously how to take her to the hospital. He wanted to finish his portion of food faster. He raised his face and looked at Van. She was literally gulping down the food like a happy smiling pig. That moment felt so precious to Hobby that he just forgot about his plans and smiled casually. Van, can I ask you something? Hobby, will you not ask me if I say no? Van, I, Dr. Jung Wen, promise that I will not ask you this question if you say no, but as a normal husband, you should not dare to say no. Hobby smiled. What do you want to ask? When don't you feel irritated or hopeless like you're struggling so much you have to give up your love life for my studies and look at me, I still want to rely on you mentally, emotionally, and I just use your clothes. Hobby took some food and stuffed into her mouth. I think I am the luckiest husband here. My wife is so busy in her life that she has no time to spend her money. You are a good wife indeed, and supporting my wife mentally, physically, making her skillful in life. It's been a beautiful struggle to see you growing up to a strong, independent woman who would think infinite times before spending a penny. When frowned, but she was happy from inside. They had finished their portion of food individually. Hoping Dr. Park Van and your Oppa Jimin also wanted to be with us during the HCG test. The hotel would not allow guests, so we should go to the university. It's quite suffocating for me in this room and be my tour guide today. Van looked at him in disbelief, but agreed. He quickly put on a shirt and trouser. One was surprised seeing him so much enthusiastic. She still had the power to tolerate food in her stomach, but Hobby's behavior was making her intolerant. Hobby, Van, wanna help to get ready? Van, yeah, clothes, I guess. If mine are dry, then please give me that. Otherwise, your clothes? Van's clothes had been carefully folded and hidden. Hobby did that because he wanted Van to smell like him. He wanted to enjoy their normal relationship again. Hobby gave his t-shirt and trousers to Van. Van, help me to. Hobby got up from his position and hooked up her. He smiled and helped her to put on the t-shirt. Just can't wait to see the positive result. I am freaking excited for that, Van. Hobby quickly took the urine sample and both headed to the UMCH campus. It was almost 250-meter walking distance from the hotel and one didn't want to trigger her morning sickness cause she had motion sickness too. When would you like to tell our grandchildren that you have held their grandma's hand and walked on the roads in Hamburg? Hobby had the idea about what they would have to face in the hospital, but still he was a little hopeful because one didn't throw up after taking the breakfast. He smiled and agreed with Van and held her hand. He was happy because Van had already started waving wishes about their old age and sad at the same time as he suspected Van might gonna have a very painful and suffering pregnancy. They just had entered into the hospital compound when Wen felt dizzy and urged to throw up. Hobie took her into the nearest washroom. Fortunately, Dr. Park Wen was already waiting for them with her boyfriend. She stopped Hobie from entering the woman washroom and accompanied her. After stepping out of the washroom, Wen was told to follow her and she was taken to a doctor's cabin. Dr. Park Wen, sit down, Dr. Wen. You are looking pale. Wen didn't know what to answer her. Her eyes were searching for Hobie. Dr. Park Wen looked at her face and smiled as she could see herself at that place. She dialed Jimin's number and told to enter into the cabin. Wen sighed in relief as she saw Hobie to enter with Jimin, and she started feeling a little awkward in front of her childhood crush K-pop idol. Dr. Park Wen, so how many times did you throw up in the last 24 hours? Wen, more than 12 times. Dr. Park Wen, have you given your urine sample for test? Hobie, yeah, the lab technologist told that reports will be sent within half an hour. Dr. Park Wen, oh, then we should wait for the reports and Hobie, and thank you for taking care of my wife and treating her. Dr. Park Wen smiled and Wen, how are you feeling now? Do you want to use the washroom? Wen, no. Jimin, little girl, come here. Dr. Park Wen, you also have legs, Mr. Idol. Why aren't you do the same? Wen, stop, please. You guys stop. Nay, I'm the younger, so I'm going. Jimin smiled. Do you know any song of mine? When Oppa, your latest OST with you, had been played on loops until yesterday. Jimin gently patted on her shoulder. I wish I had a cute little sister like you who would appreciate me in any situation, any condition. Hobie, don't worry, she respects you as if you were her own brother, isn't it, Van? Hobie didn't want to lose the chance to tease her in front of Jimin. Van didn't reply, just rolled her eyes, and at that moment the door was knocked. The reports were delivered. Dr. Park Wen thanked the person. She opened the file and it was ketone positive. Dr. Park Wen, Dr. Hosok, did she lose weight? Hobie, yes. She used to be 105 pounds, but now she is 92.59 pounds. Jimin, may I interrupt, please? I understood the weight thing, but she has lost weight in rocket motion. But what does the ketone positive mean? Jimin, Dr. Van, what does that mean? When it means I'm sick, but ketone positive means like let's assume your body burns glucose for energy. Jimin, yes, but if your cells don't get enough glucose, then body burns fat for energy instead. This produces ketone which shows up in urine. Jimin, so will it affect your baby? By the way, are you pregnant? Dr. Park Wen, yes, Mr. Idol, she is definitely pregnant. Wen, yeah, it's gonna affect if I don't get treatment. Dr. Park Wen, shut up, Mr. Idol. You and your stupid questions are interesting, but first I need to know whether you are carrying twins or triplets. Just lay down on the patient's bed, Wen, and do you suffer from migration headaches with nausea and vomiting? Wen, while laying on the bed, no, doctor. Hobie was tensed for Wen, but as he heard the term twin, he couldn't believe. It could be a very important factor for her having severe morning sickness. But twins? Had he able to make twins? He was confused. He didn't know whether he should be happy or tensed as it gonna be a complicated pregnancy for Wen, and all he wanted a not complicated pregnancy for her. Dr. Park Wen, believe me, doctor, it might be the first case in so many years of my practice that I'm finally handling a case of normal pregnancy. Dr. Hosok, please help me to capture the data. She applied the water-based gel on her abdomen and pelvic area and moved the transducer on her belly. 1. Pregnancy confirmed. 2. Fetal heartbeat normal. 3. Gestational age of the baby 9 weeks and 3 days. 4. Single fetus or multiple fetus? Single fetus. 5. Cervix appears normal. Dr. Parkman, the baby is absolutely fine and I think 2 days hospitalization would improve your condition. Dr. Hosok, my recommendation is IV fluids, I think normal saline and multivitamin IV and give her frequent small meals. High protein, carbohydrates and low in fats. No coffee, no spicy food and if possible please give her food with ginger and vitamin B6 supplement to help ease with nausea. Avoid sensory stimuli that can act as triggers like specific smells or noise or both. Thiamine should be supplemented at 1.5 mg per day. She might feel anxious or depressed about her condition, so I would advise you to stay with her. Hobby. Thank you, Dr. Park. Dr. Parkvan, I can understand what you are going through. Just stay with her. When Dr. Park, can't you skip the needle? Dr. Parkvan, please be obedient when. Please take care of yourself and take care of the baby. I'm already the example of carelessness. Isn't it enough to learn? When, but yeah, I will. I will try my best. But can you do the IV cannulation? Dr. Parkvan, what's wrong with Dr. Husok? Did you guys fight? When, no, but you will act more like a strict professor than husband. Dr. Parkvan, I'm envy of you. When you were a very lucky girl, you must trust your husband and let him to take care of your baby. And I think we must leave now. Hobby. Dr. Park, are you in hurry? Can't you? I mean, both of you can stay a little bit longer with her. Dr. Parkman, if I was in her place, then I would prefer my husband to be my side, so I have decided to do your shift, Dr. Hosok, and please keep babysitting my idle husband. He would sing your favorite song non-stop. Jimin, oh, I will sing non-stop if that can heal a van and go and visit the patients. See you soon, Dr. Park Van. Van told the nursing staff to bring the necessary equipment and left the cabin.